Morning team, it's me, your favourite, Jordan at the screen, and today I wish to talk to you about women who should be in prison, episode 6. And yes, I can't quite believe it myself, here we are at episode 6 already. I didn't think these cases would come in as quick and as fast as they have been, but hey ho, there's a lot of bad people out there doing a lot of bad things, and someone's got to keep them in line or keep tally of all the horrible shit they've been getting up to. And I guess I'm really just one of the few autistic people out there who is willing to actually dedicate the time and effort into tallying up all their names and putting them on a little database. Really doesn't sound that good when I say it like that. Anyway, there is some celebration with good news, which is why I've got myself a lovely glass of red today. And no, the good news is not me making it to 100 subscribers, although at time of recording I have finally made it to 100 subscribers. No, the good news, in fact, preceding that subscription landmark or milestone is that we have been mentioned in the mainstream media. Yes, that's it, kiddos. We have finally made it, our name in the press. And of all places, in The Guardian. I couldn't quite believe it myself, but hey-ho, there it went. You know, of all the outlets to publicise and talk about the series Women Who Should Be in Prison, it happened to be The Guardian. So, let us read the quote. The article is about the Society to Establish a Minister for Men that happened last month, the first meeting in Bath. And so let's just read the quote. It says, another attendee, Jordan Holbrook, a blogger who keeps an online record of women convicted of crimes whom he believes have been wrongly spared jail, us, told Madden it was wrong that women could not be convicted of raping men. Holbrook said that though men are also victims of domestic violence, millions more public money is spent on helping women than men. So even though it's just a fleeting mention, I'm going to consider that a success, so happy days. But hey-ho, whoopsie-doo, without, much further ado, let's get cracking straight into the cases. And the one at the top of my list is Victoria Yallop, who, let me just take a sip one more time. And the article, which was, that I'm getting my information from, was published on the 17th of October, 2017. And she was a naughty chick who was driving whilst under the influence, reckless driving, drug driving, and driving without due care and attention. So let's read the description I've written in my script that I wrote several weeks ago, because people who are ardently follow my channel will realise I've not uploaded any content in a few weeks. The reason being I've been out doing stuff. Society to Establish a Minister for Men, as I mentioned earlier, and the fact that I've had the horrendous flu. Whoopsie-doo, that was great fun. But no, let's carry on. I'm getting slightly sidetracked. Victoria Yallop, 34, of Stocks Green in Hildenborough, Kent, did consume cocaine to twice the drug drive limit and, when approaching a junction, failed to check before pulling out into the path of a white Honda bike. The crash sent her victim flying through the air and left him with cracked ribs, a fractured sternum, and a broken femur. He will have to have a metal pole in his hip for the rest of his life, and he now suffers from poor mobility. He's consistently in pain, or constantly in pain, as I should say. I can read my own script, duh. He is constantly in pain, he is depressed, unable to work, and is struggling financially. Essentially, she's fucked up his life. But, interestingly though, in July, Miss Yallop was handed a 2-year prison sentence, suspended for 2 years, after admitting to perverting the course of justice, theft, and being concerned in the supply of a Class A drug after staging a £25,000 fake burglary at a friend's house. And now the court had heard that her violent and abusive boyfriend had pressured her into committing this crime because, women have no agency. They're just puppets for men to utilise to do all their wicked things for poor women. How do they cope being alive? And he was actually jailed for 5 years at that hearing. District Judge Julia Moffat said she could not activate the suspended sentence, as the crash happened before she was sentenced at Maidstone Crown Court for her previous crimes. Funny how these things work out, how they always find cute little loopholes to let people off. People who should be in prison for doing really bad shit, breaking into someone's house, selling a shitload of Class A drugs, nearly fucking killing a guy and, ruining his life because he's been crippled. But hey, there's always a loophole to let him out of prison. So what was her quote-unquote punishment? Well, a 4-month suspended prison sentence and a 6-month curfew from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. And she must pay £85 costs, and a victim surcharge of £115, and was banned from driving for 3 years. Yeah, because the guy who's struggling to work, who struggles to walk, is depressed and has, fuck all money, I'm sure £115 will do him quite nicely, as compensation for the fact that she's fucked him up because she decided to, get off her nut on coke and go out driving. And the judge, as I just said a moment ago, was District Judge Julia Moffat, and that was at Maidstone Magistrates Court. Moving on. So the next case is an equally despicable case. The article I got this from was published on the 11th of October 2017, and this is the case of Cheryl Cottrell. She was charged, or should have been charged and punished, for sexual assault by penetration, not rape, and I'll explain why in a moment, and also for committing a hate crime. Now, I don't like the idea of a hate crime, but if you're going to make a law and have it, applying to our citizens, then it should be applied equally and to everyone. Apparently not, but we shall get into the case. So, Cheryl Cottrell, 30, did attend a house party where she met her victim, Frank McGowan. He's waived his right to anonymity because he wanted to speak out about what he went through. She attempted to make sexual advances on him, and he tried to fend her off for 2 reasons. One, she's fuck ugly, and 2, he is gay. So, 2 reasons for him to not want to be with her. And also he's in a relationship. Only for Miss Cottrell to start making invasive and vile comments about his sexuality before ultimately assaulting him. Because an item, something, had fallen off one of the counters off the side or somewhere, and he went to pick it up, and as he was bending down to pick it up, she decided, hey, I know what would be a good idea, I'm going to grab him by the ass and really clutch in. And that's what she did. Grabbed him so hard she managed to penetrate into him. And so you might think, hey, that's forced penetration, that's rape, and I would softly disagree on the premise that it's not genitals to genitals. It's still sexual assault by penetration, so it's not like it's just a passing sexual assault where it's just a grope. This is a full-on penetration into the body thing, so that adds culpability and severity to the attack. I wouldn't quite hold it to the same level as rape, but it is certainly a vicious and horrendous attack. And so she does this to him, and he tries fighting her off, and she really, holds on to him, really does grip in, because, hey, fuck it, why not? When you're a bitch, you're a bitch. And it took all his strength to throw her off, and the assault left him bleeding. And I don't want to think too much about the bleeding, because I don't want to know how much that hurt. Anyway, this attack had quite an impact on Frank McGowan, driving him to the brink of suicide. He suffered post-traumatic stress injury, and more than 2 years on, he is still haunted by what happened. And I'd like to make a passing comment about how feminists like to argue that sexual assault against men isn't the same as sexual assault against women. Which we've probably seen a lot lately with this whole Me Too campaign, how every time they've gone, oh, what about men too? They go, oh, men, they're not the same as women. Anyway, I'm digressing. In addition to this, Cottrell was found guilty of causing fear and alarm to her victim, but she was admonished on that charge, which basically means she was given a bit of a telling off, and she received no fine or imprisonment. She was found not guilty of a charge under Section 7 of the Sexual Offences Act covering indecent verbal communication. But the fact that she, grabbed the guy and actually, forcibly penetrated him, fuck it, who gives a shit about that when you're a woman doing it? And so her sentence was 120 hours community service and placed on the sex offenders register. You'd like to think that the punishment should match the crime, that if you're going to forcibly push yourself onto and into someone, that you would thus have a, forcible sentence pushed on you, that you should be locked away for a sustained period of time because of the, horrendous nature of your attacks. But no, apparently not. The judge was an unknown sheriff, and the court was the Glasgow Sheriff Court. And I think the Scots, the Glaswegians, are willing to send a guy to prison for making his dog do a fucking Nazi salute, but they're not going to send a sex offender to prison because, hey, a guy who makes a funny video on YouTube is a much bigger threat to the public than someone who decides it's a good idea to sexually assault people. Consistency, man. Fucking consistency. And so our next case now is of Katie Ringer, and she was done for fraud However, I don't think fraud as a term quite covers the barbaric and invidious nature of the crimes she perpetrated. So this article was published on the 4th of October 2017. Katie Ringer, 21, of Saline Road, Norwich, did steal photos of other people's babies from their social media and passed them off as her own, claiming these children were either sick or dying, so as to solicit donations from members of the public. She admitted at an earlier hearing 2 malicious communications offences relating to March and April of this year. She was jailed for 3 years in 2015 for 23 similar offences. She said, and this is from Katie Ring herself, oh, by the way, this is the bitch here, that's her, that ugly fucking piece of shit. She said, direct quote from this prize bitch, "I've already posted pictures saying she's dead. I've got 600 quid so far." And she claimed that the police would not touch her because she's learnt the system. She knows that, hey, you just go in there and say you're sorry, you get fucking off with it. And she told another victim she would find out where the victim lived and kidnap and rape her daughter. So, this sort of person is a wholesome person who you really want out in public, exposed to your friends and family and children and just strangers. It's a very nice person. And also, to add some icing to the cake, she also threatened to firebomb one mother. I can speak. She also threatened to firebomb one mother's house and raked in more than £2,000 from donors worldwide. So she's threatening to rape, threatening to firebomb people's houses, and saying, hey, I'm going to get off because, the police aren't going to touch me. She's learned that the system doesn't give a shit. So, you think, such an uppity bitch, someone who's clearly not showing remorse for their actions, clearly not, accepted the wrongdoing in their behaviour, someone who probably seems like they're going to keep doing this kind of shit. You think, hey, we need to put this person away to stop them from doing this again. So she was thus given a 2-year criminal behaviour order that prohibits usage of social media, passing on other persons' photographs as her own, or asking any third party for a donation unless a legitimate volunteer for a registered party. 30 weeks imprisonment, suspended for 2 years, £225 costs, and a community order requiring 30 days activity. So she gets to keep all the money she conned from people, because, hey, why punish her? She's only told to not go on social media, but how are they really going to manage that? How are they going to keep an eye on that and enforce it? And she doesn't go to prison. Threatening to rape someone, to firebomb their house. That sort of shit. Oh, and not just raping someone's daughter. I should probably add that modifier. So you're threatening child rape here. I'm lost for words. So let's just move on to the next case. But here's the bitch here. This is her. Katie Ringer. Katie with an I. K-A-T-I. What a bitch. What a bitch. So, next case. This is the next case of a woman called Linda Hoey. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she is certainly quite Hoey. This article came out on the 25th of September 2017, and she was done for benefits fraud. Now, Linda Hoey, 58, of Amington, Tamworth, did deceive authorities for 15 years, wrongly claiming £65,244 in disability benefits, as well as using a motability vehicle to dodge £15,690 in M6 toll fees. Hoey falsely claimed she could barely walk and suffered back pain bad enough that she had to walk backwards down the stairs and needed to use furniture for support. So she told a bit of a sob story. Oh, my life is so hard, it's so tough, and I can't live, blah, blah, blah. However, she kind of got caught out, as people tend to do when they fake this sort of shit. She got caught out by photos of her snorkeling on holiday and accounts from colleagues who said she would carry trays of cups of tea, and this exposed what the judge called 15 years of dishonesty. So the judge recognised that, she'd been lying her tits off for fucking ages, a decade and a half, and was stupid enough to upload photos of her, outrageously breaking this narrative she'd spun. And so the judge further remarked that Hoey had told barefaced lies. and is someone whose word cannot be trusted. So you think that with such heavy comments that she would certainly face some sort of sentence for her crimes. But no. 18 months imprisonment, suspended for 2 years, and subject to a 6-month electronic curfew. She has really learnt her lesson. You know, just dang it. Yes, thank you for sparing me punishment for being a liar for 15 years. I've learnt not to be a liar for 15 years by the fact that you've completely let me off, and it would appear that she didn't have to pay any of that money back. So, hey, she gets to keep that 80 grand, you know, that she either saved or earned. Goodo. And that judge was Judge Michael Elsom in East Stafford, Crown Court. A fucking Crown Court of all places. Jesus Christ, sort your act out. And now, for the final case, and I've mentioned her already, Victoria Yallop. We're going to talk about the robbery. Yes. The drug use and the robbery and the boyfriend and all this sort of shit. So this article came on the 10th of July 2017. I can read my script. Victoria Yallop, perverting the course of justice, theft, and being concerned in the supply of a Class A drug. So, let's read it. Victoria Yallop, 34, of Stocks Green in Hildenborough, Kent, did conspire with her then-boyfriend, Mark James, to break and enter into the property of Yallop's friend and steal his property in a staged burglary, resulting in the quote-unquote theft of £25,000 worth of goods. Ms. Yallop reported the break-in to the police, informing them she had been house-sitting, and when returning from a night out, so not very good house-sitting duties, she'd found the front door and window smashed. If this was actually a true story, if it actually did genuinely happen, and I was the friend who owned that place, and actually did get my place broken into when I asked a friend to house it, I'd be really pissed off. It's like, for fuck's sake, what are you doing? What are you playing at? You're going out, you dumb cunt. I asked you to look after my house, and you got and go on and piss her. Irrespective, because, you know, it was all faked. Which is even worse. Anyway, so reading the script. However, neighbours had seen Yallop at the property as the stolen items, including up to 80 pairs of limited edition trainers and several designer watches, were loaded into a waiting vehicle. You'd think if you're going to stage a robbery, you'd like wear a mask and like hide your identity rather than just outright doing it. Dumb bitch. More than 40 designer baseball caps, 2 Tag Heuer watches. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not well endowed financially speaking. I'm well endowed where it counts. Also stole a Rolex and an Armani watch, bottles of champagne, several pairs of sunglasses, 2 guitars, an expensive microphone, designer aftershaves, and £3,000 in cash were stolen. You'd think if you're stealing as much shit as that, you make a fucking effort into hiding who you are, rather than just being like, it's fine, I'm here house sitting, they'll expect to see me. The jury heard that Yallop had no agency and no self-awareness. Nope, sorry, hang on, I'm reading between the lines, I'm not reading the direct quote. The jury heard that Yallop had been coerced and dominated, because, you know, women can't make their own decisions. She'd been coerced and dominated by her violent boyfriend, Mark James, who had bullied her into helping him commit the crime after she agreed to look after the property for a friend. See, we talk about female empowerment, but we don't talk about, you know, female responsibility. Yeah, women are strong and capable and can do whatever they want. Except for when they do bad things and they didn't mean to do it, it's somebody else's fault. It's like, if you can do things, you can do things. If you can't do things, you can't. You can't pick and choose. Anyway, so police searched the home Yallop shared with James in Langton Green near Tunbridge Wells and found cash, watches, electric equipment, £1,000 worth of cocaine and drugs paraphernalia, including a tick list of deals written in Yallop's diary, and deal bags in a wash bag. Evidently, this shows that Yallop was involved in this drug trade. She was helping out her boyfriend being a dealer. I don't know, maybe he was the muscle, he went out and did the deals, and she kept tally of all the books. That's what it seems to be like. So, you know, she seems to have been involved. Kind of like a season 5 of Breaking Bad. Is it season 5? Did you watch Breaking Bad? Oh, she didn't watch Breaking Bad, never mind. I have my research assistant lying down taking a nap after having spent just the past 18 hours finding these sort of cases. But if you've seen Breaking Bad, you know at the end where, in like is it 5 or 6 seasons? And viewers will be able to tell me. But it's like the second to last season where the wife gets involved. You know, she becomes culpable. She starts, you know, doing the front with the garage, washing the cars. It's like that. It's like she's clearly fucking involved. She's clearly part of the fucking deal. She's in on it. She's part of the game, right? So carrying on with the script, many of the stolen goods were found in a storage unit, also hired by Yallop in Flimwell, East Sussex. Police also discovered a safe containing cocaine, a cutting agent, bitch. Who fucking cuts you? Cutting piece of shit. Scales and weights, which Yallop insisted was for personal use. Also, the diary of other people's names was for personal use. I mean, sure, she used it to personally rack it up into different bags and sell the cocaine on, but that's just semantics. Her boyfriend, for his involvement in all this, was jailed for 5 years. Because he's the mastermind, he was the guy, and fuck him, he can go to jail. Then, aged 37, he admitted theft, assault, causing actual bodily harm, possession of Class A drug with intent to supply an unrelated road rage attack. Judge Philip Statman said to Yallop, while the appropriate sentence was 2 years imprisonment, he could temper justice with mercy and suspend it for 2 years. He didn't do that with the boyfriend, did he? The boyfriend who admitted it. Isn't when you admit it supposed to lower the sentence you get? Evidently not with this boyfriend, poor guy. But her, she's clearly involved. She robs her mate's house, stabs him in the fucking back. Quite clearly and evidently involved in the drug trade. She's helping mastermind it. Nah, 2 years imprisonment, suspended for 2 years. Judge Philip Statman, you're a dumb cunt. Dumb fucking cunt. And that was Maidstone Crown Court. For those who want to know. Oh well, shit happens. Life's a bitch. We all carry on. That's going to do it for today's episode. I do have about another 30 more cases. I've had a few sent to me from fans in emails and tweets and shit like that. I've got a few serious case reviews that I want to be going through. I just need to fucking sort all this shit out. But that's that for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed what you've heard. Actually, you wouldn't have enjoyed what you heard because it's people committing heinous crimes such as a horrendous sexual assault and stealing people's baby pics and breaking into friends' houses and, nearly killing a guy and being a dealer and all of them getting off of it because, hey, fuck it, that's justice. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, toodle pip.